Hello everyone, it's just Brew here, and today I'm going to kind of do a little bit of housekeeping, I guess you'd call it. I'm just going to kind of go over some things about the channel and some stuff that's going on with me, and just give you all like a bring you up to speed on what's going on with me and the channel. And in addition to that, I figured the way that I can do this from time to time is maybe go through like an old gaming magazine while I do it, because that makes it kind of fun and that's something that I find enjoying. So let's just begin. So all right, we're gonna start here with this. This is the October 1998. Well, it says 99. Yeah, October of 1998 issue of Gamepro magazine. And Metal Gear Solid had just come out. That's kind of crazy to think, right? Like, you're gonna see a bunch of other games like that are like, advertised, and a lot of other games that are like addressed in this, and none of them are gonna be as big as Metal Gear Solid. They do address some like pretty nice ones, like Final Fantasy VIII is brought up in this, and Xenogears and F-Zero. So like there are some good games in here, but that's not. The thing is just funny because, like, does anybody remember Apocalypse for the PlayStation 1 starring Bruce Willis? We got a lot of... Also, yeah, this was a big year for sports games, but I don't really care about sports games. I think most people don't, especially now in, like, a modern setting, because, like, the sports video game has kind of been perfected almost. I mean, tons of people still buy them and stuff, but honestly, I feel like there's two types of people. There are people that play sports video games, and like that's like their main thing, and then there's people that like literally are just completely like blind to them. Like they don't even know that they exist or even care. Here's an advertisement for Tomba. Evil pigs, hidden paths, enchanting worlds, and man-eating plants. Can you believe what Tomba has to go through to conquer the evil swine? Unfortunately, he's got a bunch of weapons and tons of spunk. Tomba's here, and it's the first wild action game with the role-playing adventure mixed in, too. It's the first... Yeah, you'll love Tomba even more than a BLT on Rye. I mean, that does sound pretty good. So, yeah, I'm just going to do like a perusal of game magazines. I feel like I'm going to do this like periodically, like maybe every few months, maybe do another one of these where we just kind of look through an old game magazine together. I'll take whatever month it currently is, I'll find a magazine from a random year, and we'll go through it together, and it'll be fun. Yeah, and it'll be a monthly check-in. So the main reason I also wanted to do this, to bring you all up to speed on something that I did. I kind of overdid it with my YouTube channel. So, when you first start out a YouTube channel, you aren't authenticated yet, or like there's different degrees of authentication apparently. And I'm authenticated, and I have like my security questions and all that. I have like everything set up so that my YouTube account is as safe as a YouTube account can be. But the thing is, on their end, they don't know if I am legitimately a person yet or a robot. You see, the problem is I have been uploading a lot. I've been uploading like at least 2 videos a day, and today I went to the library and I overdid it. I went to simultaneously... My internet speed here at my house sucks. Not only that, but my internet upload speed sucks. And so my wireless adapter is at the other end of my house, and where my computer is, it can barely like connect to it. So it takes forever to upload videos. So I figured I'd go to the library and upload a ton of them. I upload some at work, but I try not to like overdo it. I upload like 1 or 2 there, and then I'm on my break, so I can't just sit there and just do it all day. I have to specifically like, put up 1 or 2 videos a day, which is realistically what I should be doing anyway. But anyway, so I went to the library today, and I uploaded like a ton of videos, and I got an error message after uploading all of them saying that I would need to do authentication first before it would work. And all of my videos got stuck on a page that said like authentication required or wait 24 hours. So I was going to do the authentication, but the thing is, there's different versions of it, and the version that I vetted to do, the version that I chose out of them was a 2-month authentication. So basically, until those 2 months are up, I'm limited on how many videos I can upload simultaneously. So for now, I'm gonna cut back on my uploads. I'm gonna only do like 1 or 2 a day, as opposed to, my plan was to upload 2 a day regularly for a while, and then have a third on some days. I just need to slow it down a little bit until those 2 months are over. And then also, like, I don't really need to upload every single day, but the thing is, at the rate that I play video games and at the rate that I'm making content, like, that is what was comfortable for me at the time. I'm sure that I'll like churn out a bunch and then stop. I wanted to at least get the 30 days of October where I'm playing like spooky and scary games or Halloween themed games or whatever. I wanted to get that knocked out, so I think that that's what I'm going to stick to first. And then I'm also going to focus on finishing Lord of the Rings. I also had a second or a third like let's play like thing that I was going to work on, which was I was going to upload some translated games. I was going to play through some gameplay of a translated game, and now that'll probably release today, maybe, the first episode of that. And then what I'll do is I'll stagger an episode of that, an episode of Lord of the Rings, an episode of that, and then eventually I'll get Lord of the Rings finished up. We've only got a couple more characters left to go on that, but it was just kind of disheartening. Like, I thought that I was going to have content set up for at least like half a month. And so that I could just like do that and then just never have to worry about like uploading on a specific channel or going somewhere to upload or whatever. Realistically, one of the things that could fix this is if I just went to get better internet for my house. But this will be a thing of the past in a couple months, and then I can upload whenever I feel like it, and I can upload like tons and tons of things. And I'm sure somewhere down the road it'll become the opposite problem where I'm not uploading enough, where it's been like weeks since you all have seen an upload or something. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Here's an advertisement for Spyro the Dragon. This is the first one, it looks like, for the PlayStation. Fire-breathing craze hits Heartland. I just recently replayed the Spyro games. When I bought my Steam Deck, that was the first thing I did. And I gotta say, like, the remakes did not do the original games very much justice. That being said, like, the first games don't hold up to me personally the way that they do a lot of other people. A lot of people are huge fans of those games, like, to the point where they're like avatars or their online persona is somehow like based around Spyro, or like he's just like a character that they really like. I can see like furries or people like that really liking Spyro. And while I like the character and I like the stuff in the Spyro universe, those games, specifically it's the controls that did it for me that I just didn't like. Oh man, this advertisement for Oddworld. This looks like something that I would have hung up. I used to like cut out pages of magazines. I used to love gaming magazines. I still do, but I used to hang up pages from gaming magazines. And looks like something that I would hang up in my room. Made from the best stuff in Oddworld. On Oddworld. Some cry because of the challenging gameplay, others cry for their enslaved brothers, but most Modocons cry because electrodes are attached to their tear glands, stimulating the ingredients for the Soulstorm Brew, the best-selling nauseating elixir from Soulstorm Brewery. In the classic Oddworld tradition, Abe's Exodus Abe's Exodus delivers an intuitive communication and entrepreneurial evil than ever before. Richer language, lusher environments, tougher challenges, deadlier farts. Welcome to the tastiest gaming brew ever concocted. Slug it down. Man. Like the font on this is like microscopic almost. I like here need a hint, call 1-900-CALL-2GT. This is one of those things where like gaming hotlines and game tip hotlines used to be a thing. It's so wild to think. Look at these like screenshots over here. Maybe I need to play a play a playthrough of Oddworld Abe's Exodus. I think I played like a demo of it back in the day or something like that. Oh man, here it is. This is the game to rival Metal Gear. Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. It's so weird to think of this now, like especially with the recent stuff about Bruce Willis. Poor guy. He's like senile almost. Like he's got something like, I don't know. He has what is it, like dementia, and they have it set up to where basically they were like milking him for like his persona for a while there. This game doesn't look great, but you really can't tell a lot of times from the advertisements. Starring as Trey Kincaid. Alright, so here we go. This the credits page of this. Buck Bumble. Be Prepared, October 1998. So this would have been coming out right as this magazine was out. Okay, we got the cover feature, we got Spyro, Wolverine. Yeah, there's some. At first, I was like, man, there's really not in here. There's not much in here to look at. There's not really much in here to point out. But then later on, there's a couple things that are kind of interesting to look at. Like, I remember looking at this earlier, and I cannot make heads or tails of any of these screenshots that they've added for this game. I don't know what this game... Ninja Shadow of Darkness for the PlayStation. From the creators of Tomb Raider and Fighting Force. It's probably pretty okay. Looks kind of weird. To maximize your racing pleasure, Instruction Walter S. Smith recommends following these simple rules. Take advantage of blind spots. Insist on the right of way. Never be courteous to others. Wow. Taifu, Wrath of the Tiger. That's Chinese for kick ass. Ooh, okay. Who you calling a pussy? Oh man. So 20 levels of sweeping rivers and dense bamboo forest on your quest to defeat the Dragon Master. Take on lethal animal enemies inspired by Chinese legend, including muscle-bound snakes and ferocious wild boar. Boar. I've seen this before. Like I've seen this, but I don't remember where. It's by DreamWorks Interactive. DreamWorks Interactive saying, "Who you calling a pussy?" Head-to-head letter from the Game Pros. Fall is finally here, which means those awesome games that the Game Pros have been waiting for all year are closer than ever to being released. One thing's clear, 1999 is going to be monstrous for the Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation. That's awesome. My niece apparently made the archery team. Glad to hear it. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. I just had to look at something real quick. I had something set up in my settings, and hold on. There we go. I had something set up in my settings, and I hadn't set it up right, but I think it'll be okay now. So anyway, let's continue. However, as Jared64 points out in the mail, the N64 is missing some surefire hit titles that gamers everywhere want. The fact is, the PlayStation is all over the Nintendo 64 in terms of sheer numbers of hot titles. Now, don't get us wrong, like Carrie Stowe did. The Game Pros are hardcore N64 fans, and the N64 is going to the distance. Turok 2, Seed of Evil, WWF/NWO Revenge, Castlevania 64, NFL Quarterback Club 99, Madden, blah, 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 blah. These will all be monster hits this year, types of games that make people want to buy an N64. Nevertheless, the N64 bench lacks depth. F-Zero X, NBA Jam 99, Fighting Force 64, Twisted Edge Snowboarding, Gex 64, Buck, Bumble, and Clover top the list of N64 games to get jazzed about. What about Tekken, Resident Evil, Tomb Raider, Metroid, Mario 2, and even Street Fighter? N64 gamers have been asking for these titles for so long that they're now referred to as the usual suspects. It's kind of interesting to think about. Like, when you look at this list of games, one of these lists of games is, kind of like forgotten about now, while the other is full of things that people still think about. Tekken, Resident Evil, Tomb Raider, Metroid, Mario 2, Street Fighter. Those are all like still relevant in some way. Gex, F-Zero, Twisted Edge, Snowboarding, Buck Bumble, Glover. Oh yeah, it's Glover. It's not Clover. Turok. Like those are all kind of like, not around anymore. It's going to take more than Pokemon Power to pull the N64 up to the top of PlayStation's stack of overflowing games. Heck, as the email from Too Much reminds us, even the Spice Girls are getting PlayStation Playtime this fall. Wow. Okay. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Yeah, that was about to come out, and it was like people were like amping up for it, but I don't really. I was okay when this came out. I was 7 years old, so I didn't really have a frame of reference for the immensity that was Zelda. I had played one of the Zelda games at this time, and I thought it was like okay. Back then I thought like every video game was just equally cool, but I didn't really get like the immensity of it, and I didn't know that there was like a culture going on. One of the things you see with these like old game advertisements is there's like an evolution of hype. Like the type of hype that you have to manifest now in order to sell a game is different than what it was 5, 10, and 15 years ago. 25 years ago when this magazine was out, it was a very different landscape of how you had to market a game. And then like what the hype looked like in order to sell that game. It was completely different. I am disturbed. I have read several letters that disturbed, aggravated, or insulted me, but none of them bothered me enough to make me send a response until now. First of all, I'd like to respond to Nike R. Nickel. See the mail of July. If profanity in games bothers you that much, why not spend your time watching Nickelodeon and Disney Channel? Okay. Oh man, this country has become the United States of the offended. Now this is back in '98. Gosh, with every single person in the entire country having some small thing to be totally outraged about. My advice to you is to enjoy these games that are 99% excellent graphics, gameplay, and enjoyment. Why waste time in complaining about the 0.01% you deem offensive? Secondly, I have this to say to you, Sir Charles. See the mail of July. Man, we might need to go back to the mail of July and see what the heck was going on there. Open your eyes, old chap. I live in the Piedmont area of North Carolina and have bought several outstanding RPGs from neighboring stores. If you don't want to do things the easy way, ordering from mail order catalogs or via the internet, try local media play or Babbage's, or you can purchase previously rented games from Blockbuster Video. I'm quite certain one of these stores is nearby. Brandon Kelly via the internet. You tell him, Brandy. Huh. Yeah, I kind of talked about this previously in one of my Let's Plays. I don't remember which one it was, but one of the things I liked to do a long time ago was collect magazines that specifically had like forum-esque, forum-like interactions between the readers, where they would like send like letters back and forth to each other, and you could follow their conversation over a course of like months, and they were usually hilarious. Banjo and Piccolo, the next Geraldo. In June issue of GamePro, you had an E3 exclusive on Banjo-Kazooie. You said that Banjo-Kazooie were trying to say Banjo's girlfriend Piccolo, whereas I've read that they are trying to say Banjo's little sister Toddy. What's the deal? Okay. There was like the Spice... Yeah, okay. The Spice Girls are evil. Hi, I want to know if the Spice World game is coming out in the US for the PlayStation. I'm a huge Spice Girl fan and really want to know about this. I also would like to know the release date, if any. Too much 756 via the internet. I just think their response here is like ridiculous. Too much? You have got to be freaking kidding us. Now that Ginger Spice is Solo Spice, we don't care what the status of the game is, but if you do, check out sneak previews in this issue. We hope to God you're a chick. Wow. What's this right here? Sizzling hot deal at Sears, $10 off. Spyro. Okay. Wow. Okay. So basically, Spyro the Dragon at Sears would be $10 off if you bought this magazine. This magazine was probably like $8. So you probably this magazine is essentially free if you were buying Spyro the Dragon, which is kind of cool. I liked, this is a common thing that was in all these magazines back in the day, was everybody like submitted their art. I think that's so neat, and like you can still find people's fan art online. Like I love looking up fan art, but like it was just kind of like a cool thing. Like I can't imagine being one of these kids and seeing your art in the magazine. Like that would be insane. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about was that I now have 12 subscribers, which, you know, doesn't sound like a lot, but I only know like maybe a third of those, maybe 5 of them. Like I only know who like 5 of those people are. So welcome all of you. Thank you for subscribing and following my content and kind of like looking forward to what I do. That means a lot. It's incredible. Today I got another comment from, I believe his name is Michael Lau. A guy commented on one of my videos, and he said it was a Lord of the Rings video, and he said that he had not played that game in like a decade until he turned it on that night. And I guess he wanted to look up content of it, or either he searched Lord of the Rings for the Game Boy Advance and saw my video, or he saw my video and then thought about that game. I don't know, but yeah, I can definitely tell that that's a nostalgic video, or a nostalgic video game for a lot of people. A nostalgic like game to play through, because my friend Lydian Lights, they brought it up a lot, and then as I'm playing through the game, I can't help but think constantly about, man, like if I was a kid playing this, I would play it all the time. And it also, the thought that I had today was Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers for Game Boy Advance feels like the type of game that you have like your little, a lot of people have like a little zip satchel of Game Boy games, right? They either had like an official licensed Nintendo one, or they had like a little like zipper pocket thing, little bag that they kept their Game Boy Advance games in. It feels like one that you keep in there and you don't think about it for a long time, and when you're going through there looking, what do I want to play on my Game Boy, you see that and you pick it up, and then you put another 6 hours into it, and you do that every like few years. And that's what that game feels like now that I'm playing it this time. But you know, better late than never, right? So I just wanted, one other thing I wrote down here is that I just wanted to say that I'm very happy with the way things are going on my channel so far. Everybody that's interacted with me so far has been incredibly nice. It has been very encouraging. I've been getting a lot more activity on the channel than I thought I would, I thought I would not get anything. I thought I was just uploading to the Aether, which in a way I am, but like there are some people out there that are actually watching my videos, or at least checking in on them, and like some people are kind of digging the vibe, so I like that, and I want to turn out more content in the future. Buyers beware. This is kind of interesting. These are just like literal complaints that people have about like their like games and hardware, and these are the like they called the game companies and they gave them like the official answers. Kind of weird. Sonic speeds to Dreamcast. It's official, the blue dude with attitude will help launch Sega's forthcoming super console, the Dreamcast. Last July, Sonic creator Yuji Naka announced a press conference to have taken place in August that would unveil Sonic Adventure to the public for the first time. People are ready for the Dreamcast, and this will be the #1 game they're waiting for, said Naka in a question and answer on Sega of Japan's website. I've seen what the Sonic team has done, and in a word, it's awesome. Notably, Naka revealed the Sonic Adventure had its origins in 32-bit gaming. After we finished Nights for the Saturn, we began to plan the idea for Sonic Adventure on the Saturn. We were trying to incorporate many ideas into the game, but it became so big that we decided we had to develop it on the Dreamcast. At press time, no gameplay details were known, though it's believed that the game will have an RPG feel. Meanwhile, Naka promised the title will set a new futuristic standard for gaming. Gamepro will have more details as they are confirmed. Yeah, looking back, I could see why people, or why, you know, Sonic Adventure would be a project that got away from the developers initially, and why they had to like maybe space it up for the next console, like why they had to back it, set it back a little bit for the Dreamcast. Gaming goes to Washington. The game industry is mad as hell, and it's not going to take it anymore. Finally, wary of constant persecution by politicians with no participation in or understanding of video gaming, members of the video game industry have formed a political action confederation (PAC) to fight the good fight in Washington. Dubbed GamePAC, the organization intends to represent the interests of the computer and video game industry in Washington and at a state and local level. In other words, the folks who bring you the games you enjoy are also willing to defend them in America's political nerve centers. Following the scrutinization of Mortal Kombat and Night Trap by the Senate in 1994, and this year's ultimately unsuccessful drive to restrict the exhibition of violent arcade games in Florida, a game industry presence in the nation's capital seems more important than ever before. It seems time that our voices be heard, reads a GamePAC press release. The voices of lawmakers who want to blame our industry for violence in our society, who want to mandate a rating system, who pass internet censorship laws are heard while we remain silent. As Thomas Paine put it, it is up to each generation to guard its liberties. Kind of interesting to see that is an ongoing thing. I guess like with every form of media, there will always be like people either trying to like censor it or keep it under control, while others are always trying to maintain the artistry or the freedom of that media. This is still like an ongoing thing today, like, you know. I like this advertisement. This is, I think this is for Tenchu Assassin, something Assassin. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like the third Tenchu game. But like they don't have, it doesn't have any words. It just has a picture of the character, and then I think those are the characters for Tenchu. NetPro Berserk. Berkeley's tweaked online game network is clever, fast, and free. What more do you want? So is this like a... This was a... I'm going to have to look into this and see what this is later. I don't know what this actually is. This is a game network that was on the internet at one point. I guess you had to log into this and maybe you could play games through it. Here we have advertisements for Body Harvest. Remember how funny it was to torture your victims when you were young? No, actually. I remember I got in a fight with a little girl in the playground one time for putting salt on a slug. Not a snail, but What is this right here? The Dex drive even saves the PlayStation memory card's game icons. What is this? Is this? Oh, this is for like backing up memory cards. A device for backing up your memory card save slots. And here's one for the N64 as well. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, this isn't really an issue nowadays, but back in the day, like, I often got concerned, like, what happens if my memory card fails? There's like a game, Time Splitters 2 was really infamous for once you, like, there was so much content in the game, if you wanted to unlock it all by the time that you unlocked it all, the memory card would be shot. Some things never change. So this is torturing things as an adult, apparently. I don't know. Wild 9? I don't recognize this game. Shiny creators of Earthworm Jim, Aladdin, and MDK Interactive Games introduced their next big hit, Wild 9. Maybe we'll have to look into this, or at least see what it is. I've never heard of this. Wild 9 for the PlayStation 1. Just getting through the metal detector will be an adventure in itself. Tomb Raider 2. I really need to go back and play the Tomb Raider games. I've heard that they're about to get a like a remaster, or like not a remake, but they're re-releasing them with higher definition graphics, and they're not censoring them or anything, which is really great. Solid Gold, Metal Gear Solid. So this game had just come out like a month before this magazine. And I'd imagine that it would probably have blown people away at that time. I remember when I was a kid, I was probably like 9 or 10 years old. So like right after, or like the year after this had come out. Or no, it would be like I was, at the end of this year, I was 8. So when I was 8 or 9, I had a friend that had played this and was really, really into it, and he kept talking about it at school, and I was just like, wow, okay. And then years later, I had a friend that let me borrow it, and I hadn't seen them for like forever, so it was one of those situations where it's like, okay, this game isn't mine, but they've let me borrow it for a long time. And then by the time that I saw them again, I was like, hey, I have your game still, and they were like, yeah, it's fine, I've repurchased it by now. With an unprecedented avalanche of hype, Konami will soon debut Metal Gear Solid, but a 2-level demo and some inside info from Konami make the game look solid gold. Okay, that's why I'm confused. So this didn't release in the US yet. This released in Japan the month before. So this probably didn't release until a couple months after this then. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid is a great game. Like, imagine being the game that has to be on this page after Metal Gear Solid. Like, what is this? Colony Wars? Vengeance? Anybody remember Colony Wars? Nah, this game might be pretty good, but I've just never heard of it. It doesn't look like the sort of thing that I would be into, but then again, it also looks like it's got some like some spaceship flying stuff, which I always think is really fun. Some piloting. So maybe I need to look into that. Maybe I need to see what it's all about. Future Cop, LAPD. This game was mentioned in a video that I watched recently, and they said that it was very, very hard and that the draw distance was awful. Spotlight on Spyro the Dragon for the PlayStation 1. Yeah, like I said, I recently replayed Spyro, and man, it was one of those games that I played over at my cousin's house, and we could not put it down. Like, it was one of those games where we played it so much that my aunt had to come in and be like, hey, you all need to go outside. Like, you all need to go play outdoors for a little while. Yeah, it's pretty good. I think it's the second one that features, like, skateboarding, or the third one, and that one was my favorite, but the thing about Spyro is that he's quadrupedal, like he has 4 legs, so turning him around requires a little bit of animation that, like, sometimes would make him fall off of platforms if you weren't used to his movements. Oh my gosh, Bruce Nukem. So yeah, this is that Apocalypse game. They keep calling it Apocalypse WoW. And here we have an advertisement for Space Station Silicon Valley. I remember seeing this advertised in Nintendo Power, and it would be one of those games that every single time I'd go to the Blockbuster, I'd see it and think, wow, that game looks really cool. It looks really fun. I didn't have an N64, so I would never be able to play it. But you know, maybe I can play it now. Maybe I watched what's his name? The Beast. There's a YouTuber named The Beast. He goes by Thab, and he is playing through every N64 game, all of them, and he played through this, and he seems to have a good time with it. It seemed pretty fun. Ram it. The Saturn isn't finished. If you still own a Saturn, don't fret. The system still has plenty of life left. With a simple converter, you can enjoy most of these games. We even give you our recommendations for the cream of the crop. So they were really trying to stretch out the lifespan of the Sega Saturn here. They talk about, let's see, it probably wasn't a big shock when Sega announced that for the rest of '98 it was only preparing 2 titles for its 32-bit Saturn system, Burning Rangers and Shining Force 3. Man. But they talk about A Magic Knight Rayearth is the only third-party Saturn game due to be released on the system statewide. There are some good games on this list, but like I'd imagine if you were a Sega fan and you had a Sega Saturn, I don't know anybody that had a Sega Saturn. I can't think of anybody that had a Sega Saturn. Actually, wait, I think maybe like I was over at somebody's house and they had one and I just didn't recognize what it was. But regardless, like if you had a Sega Saturn at this point and the Dreamcast had just gotten announced, then there's no way that like you were still hyped for it. I think this is one of those consoles now though that people kind of like collect for. Vampire Savior, Lord of Vampire, Castle of Devil Dracula X, Nocturne Under the Moon. Some interesting games. Turok 2, Seeds of Evil. I remember playing this over at a friend's house. I think I also own the strategy guide for this game. Coming October of 1998 AD. The Game Boy grows up. I've been thinking a lot about the Game Boy Color recently. And how it actually does have a lot of things that are like a lot of decent games that are trapped on it. Like it's basically like a continuation of the of the NES. Pocket Monsters on Parade. One of the factors leading to the Game Boy's revival will be the Pokemon phenomenon. See sidebar Watts Pokemon, which should fuel an additional 20% in Game Boy sales next year. In Japan, Pokemon easily outsold some next generation titles. Oh, so like this, they hadn't even really been impacted by Pokemon yet. We wanted some insight into the Pokemon craze, so we asked. I can't make out that name because the font is so tiny. Director of Marketing at Nintendo of America. For all the hokey pokey lowdown. Gamepro, the Pokemon phenomenon continues to defy all expectations with almost 9 million units sold in Japan alone. Will Pokemon help boost Game Boy sales? Little did they know at this time that like Pokemon would be like the number one like selling franchise of all time. There was at one point, I don't know the statistics on it now, but like there was at one point a time where Pokemon outsold the next biggest franchise, which at that time I think was Harry Potter, 6-fold. So like think of how much money Harry Potter makes, and then multiply that by 6, and that's how much money Pokemon made. Yeah, it's the number one, for a long time it was the number one selling game of all time. I don't know what it is now. I think it was Grand Theft Auto 5. B1. Introducing Cruisin' World on Nintendo 64, 16 exotic cars, 15 foreign countries to race them through enough tricks to turn anybody into a hot dog. Okay. Alright, we have a provocative image of Lara Croft holding a gun between her legs, but it's been censored by gameplay footage of Lara Croft. This, screenshots of Tomb Raider. Something I wanted to point out is these. They did this. GamePro magazine did this thing where they would predict, or they would claim like what percent done the game was, and I think they got in trouble for this. I don't know if this is like what. Well, I don't know what the implication is. If this is how complete the game was when they got to see it, I don't know. That just seems really like a really weird thing to be able to put in your articles about these things. Crash Bandicoot Warped, a classic. Tomb Raider, classic. Thrill Kill. Is this that one that never actually got released and got banned? I'm pretty sure this got banned. I think this never actually received a full release. We got some Parasite Eve. Wipeout 64. Attack of the Saucer Man. We got Rival Schools. Pretty good game. The only thing that I know about Rival Schools is it's always listed in like forgotten 3D fighting games. That like it's a hidden gem that people forgot about. Castlevania 64, one of the only like kind of RPGs on the system. Medieval. This is something that I was thinking about playing this in my Halloween Let's Plays. I might do that this month. I don't think I'll have time. I don't think I'll be able to fit that whole game into a Let's Play. Maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But it's a really great game. It's a classic. Heart of Darkness. This game recently got some like hype because I think they were playing on like Oni Plays. It's really bad. The Dex Drive. We've seen that earlier. Small Soldiers. Oh, this is like based on the movie Small Soldiers. Was Small Soldiers even out yet? I don't think so. I don't think that's it. Oh yeah, I wanted to point this out. So, this is an advertisement for Zelda 64. You had to present this coupon at a Funko Land store to join the launch team, making a $10 deposit to secure your copy of Zelda 64. And then you would get a t-shirt and you would get a poster if you were the first 5,000 and 20,000 people to turn in this this coupon respectively. Interesting. So yeah, we're just going through the rest of this. I've already told you all the announcements that I wanted to for the channel. We don't know Jack. Is this from the same people that made like Jack in the Box? The Fifth Element, an advertisement for that game. I've still never played that. Gex, Enter the Gecko. Armored Core Project Phantasma. I really like the Armored Core series. This is apparently like the second one, I think. Interesting. I think like there actually was like a little bit of a competitive scene for Armored Core back then that really isn't addressed now. Glover. For some reason, like every game magazine too was excited, was hyped for Glover. I don't know what that was. Like, it was on the N64, it was on the PlayStation. It was just this like mascot that everybody was like, oh man, the next Glover game. I would see advertisements for it everywhere. So a lot of these PC games are, here's SimCity 3000. A lot of these PC games are that are mentioned here are games that you see like mentioned kind of now as like retro games that like that they're seen on like the Game Dungeon and like channels that look into like forgotten retro games. So these at least have some sort of relevance, and a very niche relevance. Grim Fandango, a classic. I've never gotten very far in this game. It's one of those adventure games where it's like, in order to do this thing, you have to do this completely unrelated weird thing, and I'm not very good at those. I end up having to look up like half of the game and figure out what's going on. Old school gamers rejoice. Gauntlet, the classic 4-player arcade quarter muncher, is back in 34 frames or 34 FX graphics, addicting gameplay that's guaranteed to excite not only fans of the original series, but all gamers looking for the fast and fun adventures this fall. Oh yeah, Gauntlet Legends. I've never specifically played this version of Gauntlet Legends. I think there's another port of it that I have though. 10th Degree. This looks kind of sick. Never heard of this. Atari's hot new fighting game is rushing into arcades with breakneck speeds and mad beatdowns. Here's Colony Wars. I mean, that advertisement does make it look sick. Maybe I was just talking smack earlier. F-Zero X. The original F-Zero pioneered futuristic racing games at the dawn of the 16-bit era, but that was 7 years ago, long before Wipeout and other anti-gravity racing games raised the stakes. Yet who says you can't go home again? F-Zero X, Nintendo's latest 64-bit update of a company classic, has all the makings of a hover racing game hit. Yeah, I really like the F-Zero game that I played. I played, what is it, the one for the GameCube and the one for Super Nintendo. They were both very, very good. Tales of Destiny. It's why you started playing RPGs in the first place. I can't wait to start sinking my teeth into some RPGs on the channel. I'm trying to bide my time before I take on like one of the big RPGs, because I know once I get that ball rolling, I'm not gonna be able to stop. I always saw this Devil Dice game mentioned in magazines, and I would always see not advertisements, but like articles about it. I remember Tips and Tricks magazine had a couple articles on it. PC Racer? Dark Dreams of Blood and Fire, of Drums Pounding Rhythm. Akuji the Heartless. Haven't seen this before. It's a PlayStation game. Here lies the amber cinder of your voodoo. The sports pages. Wipeout 64. Oh, I didn't realize that Wipeout was also released on the Nintendo 64. That's kind of cool. Thought it was a PlayStation exclusive. Dang, they really devoted like half this magazine to sports games, huh? Like I said, this was a big year for sports games, but like I just don't care for them. I always, at the time, I did not get into Magic the Gathering until I was like a teenager, and even then, like it wasn't that big. Like we played it every day at school, but like I did not have access to purchasing new cards. So Magic the Gathering looked very, very interesting to me. They make it look very like horror-esque here. They make it look like Halloween-y almost. Role Players Realm. This is like if I had this magazine in 1998. In 1998, I would read this, but I really wouldn't. It wouldn't soak in. But when I was older and I could read into like magazines and articles and stuff, these are the portions that I would like to read, is about the new upcoming role-playing games. Anything that looked even vaguely anime would be like exciting to me. The Saturn may be deader than Elvis, but don't tell Sonic Software Planning. It's recently translated its Shining Force franchise from Genesis to the Saturn with enough panache to style to make the king thrust his pelvis one more time. Oh, geez. Final Fantasy VIII. Okay, so this was about to come out in the US, I believe. If any PlayStation RPG deserves some press, a whole 12 months before its projected release. Yeah, this came out in '99, didn't it? I remember the first time I saw Final Fantasy VIII. I was over at a friend's house, and his brother was playing it, and like he was enraptured in it. Like I can't remember what we were doing, but we were like trying to get him to play outside, or trying to get him to like watch something on TV, and he was just basically like, "Get out of my hair, I'm playing." And I remember he was at the beginning of it, and they were huge fans of the Final Fantasy series. Xenogears. I remember, so this, gosh, like imagine Xenogears not existing. Imagine Final Fantasy VIII not existing. Imagine a world where those don't exist yet, and they're about to come out. Like, they didn't know what was about to hit them. Like, that's so insane to think that, like, what is the Xenogears of today? What is the game that we're hyped for that's about to, like, change the landscape of gaming forever that we just don't even know is about to hit us yet? I feel like they come less and less frequently now than they used to. They're not as common as they used to be. But there used to be a lot more wave makers. So this is kind of interesting. These are just like literally. These are literally just the move lists for characters. All right. Well, all right. I think we've seen enough. We get the gist. You know, we're gonna do this again though. We're gonna look through gaming magazines in the future. We're gonna see like what kind of stuff's out there. Oh yeah, I like this advertisement for the Game Shark. It's these kids like trick or treating, and they're like receiving bullets from this lady out of her trick or treat basket. That's the Game Shark giving them infinite ammo. All right, well we're just gonna end on that note, and actually we're only 3 pages. Let's check and make sure there's nothing else. Oh yeah, and then here's this thing at the end for retro mags. Go to this website, thank them, like I thank retromags.com for uploading these, and also the archive.net or the archive.org. They keep these things alive because there's no other place now to find a lot of these magazines. Unless you're going on like eBay and buying, you know, $40 used issues of these magazines, there's nowhere else to really get them. So, thank you, Retro Game Mags. And then, the thing is, or Retro Mags, I keep wanting to say Retro Game Mags. If you want to see more of their magazines, go to their website and just join their forum. That's all it takes. And you can just download tons and tons of old gaming magazines. There's tons of them on there. You don't have to wait for me to, like, go through them. You can just go and find them online, and they're all really interesting. But, alright, well, thank you all very much, and I'll see you all again next time. And thank you for watching my videos. It means a lot to me. I'll see you later. Bye.